Once again, a jury begins to deliberate the fate of the Menendez brothers. They killed their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez. Neither Lyle nor Eric disputes that. But they say they only killed them after years of mental, physical, and sexual abuse by their parents, abuse that made them fear their parents would kill them. Last time around, the jurors hung. This time around, prosecutors believe the jurors will convict the brothers in the killings of their parents for the following reasons.
By the way that they executed them in such a cold-blooded fashion and then participated in a cover-up, which continued for years afterward.
The defense is worried about a public backlash against Lyle and Eric, a backlash that might possibly influence the jurors who are not sequestered.
Anybody who's been turned into a nightly joke on Jay Leno cannot expect the public to be seeing them as human beings.
In the death of Jose Menendez, jurors will have a choice of verdicts, first or second-degree murder or manslaughter or not guilty. In the death of Kitty Menendez, jurors will not have the option of manslaughter, and that is just one of the things about this trial that enrages Eric's attorney. If the brothers are convicted this time of first-degree murder with special circumstances, the prosecutors have said they will seek the death penalty. Ann McDermott, CNN, Los Angeles.
A Los Angeles County jury convicted Lyle and Eric Menendez of first-degree murder charges in the deaths of their parents.
Eric and Lyle did not react in any way. I saw no tears from them. They did not look at each other.
A penalty phase will begin Monday. Jurors will decide whether the Menendez brothers will receive death or life in prison without the possibility of parole. Los Angeles District Attorney Gil Garcetti was all smiles after hearing the verdicts. The judge in the case has placed a gag on all the witnesses who may be testifying during the penalty phase. The gag order also applies to the attorneys. During the 6-month trial, prosecutors portrayed the defendants as calculating, cold-blooded killers who murdered their parents, Kitty and Jose Menendez, out of greed, and that's a theme the jury believed.
We have felt all along that this is a first-degree murder case. I think that we presented strong evidence of that.
Defense attorneys maintained that Eric and Lyle were victims of abuse, the worst kind, emotional, physical, and sexual. But unlike the first trial, the judge limited the number of witnesses the defense says would have bolstered their abuse case. The judge also refused to read a special jury instruction, which would have allowed a form of self-defense.
I have never seen a defense prohibited from putting on their witnesses and then prohibited from getting the instructions that are based on all the evidence that they have put on.
In the first trial, both brothers described numerous abuse allegations. Eric was the only brother to testify in the second trial. Defense attorneys called him absolutely credible. In the first trial, prosecutors basically ignored the defense charges of parental abuse. In the second trial, prosecutor David Kahn called the defense portrayal of the brothers as helpless weaklings a fraud. Defense attorney Leslie Abramson described the prosecution's case as junk science, extremist views, and desperation. At the time of the murders, the Menendez fortune was estimated at around $14 million. Today, the brothers are penniless. In the second trial, Los Angeles taxpayers have paid for their defense. The penalty phase could last anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months. The defense has said before that if the brothers were convicted, they would appeal. Linda Joyce, Los Angeles.
For Lyle Menendez, accused of killing his mother and father, the verdict was guilty. Guilty of murder in the first degree for the deaths of both Jose and Kitty Menendez. And his brother Eric received the same guilty verdicts. Both were also found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, and both also were found guilty of murder with special circumstances. Circumstances that in this case included lying in wait for their parents, circumstances that make the brothers eligible for the death penalty. No television cameras were allowed inside to record their reactions, but one courtroom observer, author Dominic Dunn, told reporters later what he saw.
There was absolute silence throughout. Eric and Lyle did not react in any way. I saw no tears from them. They did not look at each other.
Monday, the penalty phase of the case will begin. That's when the Menendez lawyers will argue for life imprisonment, and the prosecution will argue for death. Meanwhile, the lawyers and other principals in the case will have to keep their thoughts to themselves, at least for now.
It is hereby ordered that the defendants and all attorneys of record in this case and or the agents for such attorneys make no public comment about this case until the penalty phase has been concluded and the jury discharged.
The lawyers for the Menendez brothers had argued that the brothers shot and killed Jose and Kitty Menendez because they feared their parents would kill them, a fear that the young men claimed was a result of years of abuse at their parents' hands. During their first trials, which ended more than 2 years ago, jurors could not make up their minds. This time, it was different. This time, it was guilty. And for District Attorney Gil Garcetti, those verdicts were a welcome respite from a string of high-profile losses suffered by his office in recent years, including the trials of rapper Snoop Doggy Dogg, O.J. Simpson, and the first Menendez trials. Ann McDermott, Los Angeles.
Eric Menendez's attorney, Barry Levin, pleaded for his client's life, telling jurors there's no way he will get out of prison, that he will spend the rest of his life locked in a cell the size of their bathrooms. He told the 8-man, 4-woman jury that then 18-year-old Eric was just a kid when he killed his parents. Levin called the now 25-year-old convicted killer a man of substance and value, saying, "He's my friend. I like him." He wants you to know how sorry he is for the pain and agony. He prays and hopes through God he can find forgiveness and peace. "Please spare him," said Levin. "It's a decision you'll never, ever regret." Lyle's attorney, Terry Towery, told jurors the death penalty is reserved for the worst of the worst in our society. You must decide whether Lyle Menendez is such a terrible person he deserves the death penalty. But in his rebuttal, prosecutor David Kahn was unbending. Kahn called both brothers cold-blooded killers, and he replied to the defense, "The death penalty," said Kahn, "is for the worst of the worst, and this crime is the worst of the worst." Pointing to Lyle and nearly yelling, Kahn talked about the final shotgun blast to his mother's head. "This is a cold-blooded killer," Kahn shouted. "Look into his eyes. You see black eyes, you see dead eyes, and they should be dead for the horrors they did to his mother." Surprisingly, Leslie Abramson said nothing after defending Eric Menendez through 6 years and 2 long trials. She had argued for permission to at least tell jurors not to hold her conduct against her client. Her orders to a psychiatrist to delete sensitive material from his notes is considered possible criminal misconduct.
Throughout both their trials, Eric and Lyle Menendez admitted that they killed their parents where they all lived in the couple's Beverly Hills mansion. They said it was because of years of abuse. But the L.A. County prosecutors said that the brothers planned the shotgun murder of Kitty and Jose Menendez just to inherit their fortune. The brothers, now 25 and 28, told Barbara Walters how they feel now about killing their parents.
Do you think you're evil?
Oh no, I'm the opposite of evil. He's not an evil person, and I'm not an evil person.
Because I struggle a lot with whether they forgive us.
What'd you decide?
I haven't decided if they forgive us, and I don't feel one way or the other yet.
Have you forgiven yourself?
I don't think it's possible.
Chris Curl, Channel 2 Action News.
Case number SA 002728. Each of the defendants is present with Ms. Lansing. It's not November. December 9, 1992 at 9 a.m. in this division. That's correct. Is that for some alternative procedure? And so you want to set it for November 11. Sorry, also wants to address the court about it.
Nothing else.
Okay, guys.
I'll see you downstairs.
Keel versus Jason Kiola Hashimoto, 92 and 0226.
Everyone, please rise, face the flag. In the presence of the flag of the United States, emblem of the Constitution and freedom and justice for all, the Part 104 of the Superior Court of the State of California for the County of Los Angeles is now in session. The Honorable Cecil J. Mills, Judge presiding. Please be seated.
That deals with the people's proffer of evidence. And as I said, the document filed by the prosecution Friday was only received by me this morning, and I haven't read it yet, but there are other matters that are not addressed in that proffer that we can deal with. And what we'll do is do it this afternoon, start on it, see how far we go, and then I'll review the document filed by the prosecution and let me inquire, was there any oral argument that the defense wished to add to respond to